guys, and welcome to the latest edition of Training on the TV. And today's guest is an icon of the rugby league world who has been on a really good journey. So without further ado, I will leave it to Mr. Mike Ratu to introduce himself and tell you a little bit more about him. So Mike, welcome to the show, pal.
Right, Chris, thanks for having me, giving me this invitation. I'm honoured to share my time with anyone, share it with you in this period where that's all we've got is time. So I'm Michael, not Mike, as you keep saying, but we'll get there.
Sorry,
but
mate.
Yeah.
It's only been 3.5 years. It's because I'm so used to calling you. It's because I'm so used to calling you Ats. That's what it is.
I've told you for 3.5 years.
Right, never makes a difference.
Hey, I've been called worse things, but anyway, long story short, so I'm here and you've invited me in to talk about rugby league and pathway and what I've been doing, my narrative and my perspective. So I'm honoured to share that with you, Chris.
Cheers,
it's good. Stay in my garden today in the lockdown, keeping well. Yourself?
Superb, mate. Yeah, just trying to get the business going, getting as much information out there to athletes and coaches. Trying to get a bit more time to myself, sort of refocus what's going on, make sure I'm being true to myself with my vision. And spending a bit of time with the missus as well. Trying not to throw the dog in the garden. You know what dogs are like. Once they start, they don't stop.
No, you're right. You touched on it then about being true to yourself and values and routine. I think, like any other lockdown scenario or any other situation of, confinement, you've got to rely. Your routine and values will get you through, really. Yeah. And they always will do. So, you're honing on them. You keep your principles, which is a big one for me, 6-7 principles, and you're honing on them, get you kind of through. You've got your time, use it wisely, do whatever, Netflix binge, gym. You've always got a choice to make. So, the lockdown is a making and breaking of a lot of people. I keep seeing massive polarities of people changing, relationships, jobs, cars, family, whatever. But it's a great thing, but people see it as a bad thing, and it is. It's challenging. That's the biggest thing in life, to get a challenge, and how you adhere to it is different. You fold or you stick or twist.
Mate, 100%. I mean, this is the big thing. I think we're in the society nowadays, Michael. There you go. I got it right this time.
3.5 years.
Got it, mate. Got it. We're in a society now. I think, without sounding funny with people, I think people expect to be spoon-fed these days, because you look at schools, you look at sports clubs, and everyone is literally told you must do this in this way. It's I'm going to dictate to you how I'm going to run it. And there's not as you go back to when we were growing up, and you could climb trees, you could swing off branches. We had a bit more freedom, didn't we? Whereas now there's so many rules and regulations, which I think are preventing people from carrying out what they want to do. And like I say, having a vision and having some form of structure in what you're doing, and being true to yourself and being honest. Because something else that we're influenced a lot by at the minute is social media. And we're talking briefly then about it having a negative impact on us. And I suppose this is because a lot of people compare themselves to us. I mean, going back to sort of like how into school. Obviously, rugby league's not really something that's played particularly in primary school. So how did your journey begin in rugby league?
Yeah, it's a good starting point, that, because you touched on it yourself. The curriculum and school and governmental values, that's where you start everything. You start from reception up. In USA, there's no coincidence that the UFC have, every single fighter is American or Mexican or whatever, because they did wrestling from school in the curriculum. So they are light years ahead, as opposed to a British fight. You get one in a blue moon, you get Bisping, you got the Stapes family and Darren Till. But just to come back personally to me, I was lucky enough to catch the back end of a curriculum rugby league in Whitworth High School. But more other than that, it was a family affair for me with my grandfather and my dad, my uncle. With the Fijian heritage, they instilled rugby league. It's a bit of a mill run for me. you know, it was one of them. Your dad did it, so you'll do it. Your dad did it, you'll do it.
Always
And it's one of them. You know, it's one of them. And I happen to like it as well. So it wasn't. Yeah, I hate the game and I love the game, but you know, it's one of them, innit?
Exactly.
I was shown the game from an early age where, like you said, it wasn't around me. Every single friend now. I don't have a very close friend who's played rugby with me. I've developed, you know, 20 close friends through rugby, but you know, as a commonality, it's very rare. So yeah, it was a family of Fijian heritage got me into the game, and yeah, you know, I remember playing my first game on Fir Grove. I was about 8, playing in the under 10, scared to death. Bigger boys, 10 years old, you know, rough and tumble.
Yeah.
You play fight with your cousins and your dad and your uncles and whatever. But when you're there, you think that's it. That's my life. That in front of me, I'm having it. So yeah, that was my first taste of rugby, and you know, I won't say I took to it like a duck to water. I was 8 years old, and I think I was 10 when it finally kicked in. Like, yeah, fancy this, you know, bit of rough and tumble. Got my kick. I'm 32 now, so 22 years. It's I ain't gone yet, but you know.
Pretty good. I suppose another thing you compare sports, don't we? I mean, rugby league is like no other, because obviously rugby in general, it's a sport of discipline, isn't it? And I suppose for any child, I personally, I mean, obviously we've worked together with the foundation at Hornets, and we've tried to grow the game and still continue to do so. But one thing that I noticed is that as soon as a child or even an adult is introduced to the game of rugby, the mindset changes straight away, because you've just got to be so aware of your surroundings. You got to be, you know, you make a tackle, you got to get back.
Yeah.
You know, and what's your opinion in terms of growing the game at the minute? I mean, what sort of things do you think that we could do with putting out there?
Wow, I don't think I've got enough charge on my iPod for that. But, you know. No, just going back to your mindset, insight. It's an honest sport, rugby, and opposed to rugby union. I'm not going to bash it, but rugby league's a very honest sport. You develop camaraderie by working with the guy next to you. You know, you're getting through drills together. You rely on each other, and you develop. I've never served in the army, but your common goal is to get to a point and to be together.
Yeah.
Whereas football's the same. Any team sport's the same, but within rugby, you know. It's war, you know. It's a war, and you're out there for 80 minutes, 2 40-minute splits, and you're at war, and you want to rely on these people. When I'm tired, will you help me? And when you're tired, I'll help you. And you know, from that mentality, you can get a lot of good friendships and bonds and discipline, like you said, mindset, values. There's a lot to be had. So you know, people, and it really disappoints me and I'll go on to growing the game. It really disappoints me, and how much more can I express how saddened I am by the government bashing rugby league in terms of not putting it in the curriculum and not having it as it's a danger to be to be involved, and children, you know, they're not letting children head the ball with football, so rugby league's not got a chance of it. In terms of growing the game, like I said to you about UFC and wrestlers, in the curriculum in America, cricket in Australia, they have that in the curriculum. That's a national sport. Australia are the best at cricket, and UFC have got the best wrestlers in America. So yeah, if you want to grow the sport, it needs to come from any single thing needs to grow from the grassroots. No joke. Science shows grassroots grow, branch and spread. So yeah, for it to really grow, we need to get it we need the government to buy into it. We need a curriculum value, school teachers. Tag rugby was a big thing, and that grew into. Yeah. But another major point has to be said is cutting the academy in the Super League and Championship. That has single-handedly killed the sport, and that has showed you in international level and the crop of. I'm not bashing any the crop who's coming through. Obviously not, but it's the dual reg and the amalgamation of teams. It's not working. I had some of the best years of my life in the academy. You know, coming through and getting blooded, and all those players will definitely make it to a level. Whether you're a Super League club academy, you always find a way because of just the instilled bread. Now that got cut, and the game didn't progress.
Yeah, it's almost like a conflict of interest, isn't it? I mean, we see about. I mean, we look like local to where we are now. We've got Rochdale Hornets who have obviously recently dual regs with Toronto Wolfpack, and I can understand why they're doing it because they are giving us, to an extent, they're giving a player pathway to a higher club. But surely, if it comes down
How
to
many players have you seen play?
what's that?
How many players have you seen play from a dual reg?
I think there was that. Was it a couple of lads? I think was it that Harvey Levette went from Hornets to Warrington? I think it was a couple of years ago. But I think
he was at Warrington first.
Yeah, but I think that's been about it. But I mean, you look at the fans. I I used to go watch Leeds Rhinos quite a bit, and one thing I used to enjoy the most was going to Headingley and seeing the youngsters play or see the academy play, and then you'd have a bit of entertainment in the middle, and then you'd watch the legends like Keith Senior, Rob Burrow, and all that lot play, and you almost got like 3 in 1, which was absolutely brilliant. But
no, that's what I'm saying. The academy got scrapped. That was gone. The Alliance teams and the B team, the C team, all that kind of notion. There was nothing there then. There's a cliff edge. You've got your first team, and that's it. That's all that matters. As a supporter looking in, as a fanatic looking in, you have no
route
affiliation, if you like. Dual regs. When you play for Rochdale Hornets and you come in there, I remember being on loan at Halifax from Leeds, and I was at Halifax, and my mindset was with Halifax. I was there for an extended period, and I put my eggs in my basket. It was at Halifax, but I can't imagine ever going from training with, say, for St Helens, and then playing for Rochdale Hornets, and then playing for St Helens, and play. It doesn't. How can you cultivate some sort of momentum when I play for St Helens and I'm registered with St Helens. I get paid at St Helens, and then you're going to go and play for Rochdale Hornets. Are you telling me that there's players and there's lads that are going to abide by, they're going to give their all? I'm not saying there's people that don't, but it's not in their interest, is it? How's that in their interest? And then on the flip side, how is the Rochdale Hornets going to say, well, we've got these 3 or 4 lads, they don't want to play. You know what I mean? There's this conflict.
It's a different culture.
Doesn't work.
It's a different culture, isn't it? And different beliefs. Obviously, different managers have got different ways that they want to play. And this is one you'll know, Michael, better than me. The transition from full-time to part-time. I mean, when you were at Leeds, obviously it was all full-time, right? When you were down at Rhinos. Yeah. What was the difference? What was the main difference that you found from going training full-time with Rhinos to then going? Am I right in saying it was part-time training at Fax? What was the biggest differences that you found, if any?
I was quite lucky then, Chris. I was drinking champagne then. I was drinking champagne, smoking cigars every day then. They were the good days. It was the good days. I think the answer to your question is when you stop doing full time, going to part time properly. I was on loan, remember, from Leeds to Halifax. Like I said, we had champagne and cigars and caviar after training because it was part time and I was doing full time. But yeah, some great times. Probably the best years at Fax. A bit of an X-rated time, but at Rochdale Hornets, which is very much part time from full time. The transition is chalk and cheese, mate. It's makes or breaks a lot of players. By make, I mean you've got to train harder. You've got a full time job to look after. You've got your family. The younger you are, the better you are to make that transition. If you've got responsibilities, I remember I have a young son still, but he was 1 or 2. The year that we won it, I was at the house 3 nights a week, getting in 10, 11 p.m. Was at St Helens, dual reg at Rochdale Hornets, and Tuesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Sunday. You've got the piss with the boys. It takes its toll, mate, and have an understanding misses or not, or you have an understanding job or you don't. The most important question to ask is sacrifice with part-time.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's harder than full-time. You're at full-time. Everyone's on this field and you're doing what you got to do. Level playing field straight the way through. When you finish, you don't. But with part-time, you're always on the job. You know what I mean? You're always on the job. And
It's that
You know, I've got to,
it's how uncomfortable you're willing to make yourself to get where you want to do, isn't it? And
yeah, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, you know, you buy into things when you live and you grow, and you buy into that. Oh, I work in an office now. We have cake at dinner. We have fast food at night. I don't have to train tomorrow. No one's telling me to do this. No, do you know what I mean? The onus is on you, so you have to uncover a lot of disciplines by yourself. Like I said at the beginning, I think it was off air when I said it. You know, your values and your principles have to really. And don't get me wrong, you can cut corners at any level, any single level. But part-time, you will really illustrate how many you cut and how many you don't. So the transition's very, very sharp, very fierce.
Yeah, because people are always watching everything you do, aren't they? I mean, obviously, social media people will watch you, and obviously, the Lunatics, they can't really watch you on Facebook or whatever at the minute, but
no, it's the
but
you know,
no,
it's
I mean,
a narrative.
but you're exactly right, mate. I mean, the sacrifice is having that clear vision, it's having that clear goal, and this is where people tend to fail, whether they're an amateur athlete, a professional athlete, whoever they are, even your average Joe. If you've not got a clear vision as to where and a clear roadmap as to where you want to be, you're never going to make it. So what was it, Rats, that motivated you to carry on playing rugby league? Because obviously going from Leeds and having the journey you had, and then obviously you went to Hornets, you won the League One title in Toulouse in 2016. What was it that motivated you to keep going after playing in the Super League to international, which we'll touch upon shortly, to then playing League One part-time? Was it the fact that you believed in yourself you could go back to Super League? Was it the lads that kept you going? What was the biggest motivator for you?
Yes, it's a good question. Trying to feel what I felt then, what I feel now. I don't know, Chris. I think I've never really voiced it before, but fear, really, fear.
Fair.
Fear of not being able to do it anymore. Fear of letting it pass me by. Fear of, one day I won't be able to do this, and I won't be able to control that. And I could control it when I did. I can control what I do right now. You know, obviously I'm injury permitted. I've got to have an operation on my shoulder, but I can control that then. If I was 65 in a wheelchair or 65 at home, whatever, I can't control that, can I? But
yeah, exactly.
I suppose when I look at it back then, you know, saying, "Oh yeah, I want to play. I've got the ambition to strive and be." That's all bullshit. It's boring. That's a boring narrative for me. What I felt then is, fear, opportunity passing me by, regret. I didn't want to have any regret to say, you know, I should have laced them up then. Should have had a try. Should have got down with it. Should have gone with the boys. Should have played. Should have done something. I enjoy it. I'd still do it. You know. So yeah, fear was a big factor for me. Still is. That day's coming when I can't play anymore.
I think sorry, mate. I think this is because you reflect quite a lot on what you do, don't you? Because you've got such high standards. You're constantly reflecting on what you're doing, and I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it?
You know, having your shit together and having an awareness, you know, it's a good thing to have. 100%. But it doesn't mean that you get everything right. And many times, only last night I smashed the glass on the way to the kitchen, and I can't believe I did it. But retrospect is a good thing. Introspect's a different thing. So it's having them in a balance, and you only get that when you start to get older and you start to think, I've been here before, I've done this before, I recognise this pattern, I recognise what's going on, and to feel and see that is, you only get that by building it. So it's kind of a catch-22. Like I like to be in uncharted territory. I've never felt or been or seen or felt or done or touched on this before, because I know then I've got that in my arsenal. So yeah, the awareness is a big one. So yeah, looking back, and still looking back, you've always got to reflect on things and do things. And whilst I can do that, and whilst I can still foresee, and then obviously it can bounce back. If you look back, you're always looking back to bounce forward, or if you're looking back and back, you're just gonna, you're going on.
Yeah.
So you look back to bounce forward. So yeah, as long as I can keep having a bit of improvement on what I'm looking at, Chris, I'm always going to try and lace those boots. Now, that day is going to come, and it's a lot closer than it's ever been in my life, where there'll be no more lacing up, and there'll be no more operation, there'll be no more start date, and there'll be none of that. And, I've accepted that, and I'm down with it. I've got probably one more season where I can have a good, whether it's a hoo-ha, whether I get injured in the first minute, or whether I play 28 games and I get, the best accolades ever. But, yeah, I think one more season, it'll be a different conversation together.
Yeah, and I think the reason that's happening is because you're real. It's because you're real, and you always. I mean, obviously, we've had conversations over the last sort of year, 2 years, since obviously you've had your injury, and you had to take that period of time out. What was the transition like from going from being injured, from having a fantastic season in 2016 to having a bit of an injury ravaged season, sort of 2017, 16, 17? How did you handle that from a psychological point of view? Because obviously you then went on to have a year out of the game. What impact did that have on you personally, as a person, and also as an athlete?
Yeah, that was a tough year. It was a tough year, off and on the field. Frustration mainly. It was osteitis pubis, which I don't know if you know it. I'm not going to send you do. It was a very ambiguous injury, overuse of the pelvic area. So did it go off then? Yeah,
briefly. So we can still see your good looks, mate. It's all right.
Yeah, they're always there. It's an ambiguous injury. So my point is, I was fighting in the dark. I couldn't see what was hitting. Frustrating. We didn't have the best year. Well, we got trounced every week. It was in Premier Championship. It was very difficult year. I didn't really buy into Alan Kilshaw anymore. I mean, I'm prepared to say that on whatever. I didn't buy into him anymore. And come to like what it was about. And that's that. Off field, strains on my relationship, strains on my family. It was testing. I would say I'm 1,000% stronger than that then, just in the sense that I had no vision, like you said, and focus, aim, and it come a lot down to the starting point. I didn't know when I was going to be fit. I didn't know what I was fighting against. It was more of a resting period for the injury. You couldn't do anything to get there because I wanted the solution fixed. I wanted to how long. I had none of that. So it took its toll. 2017-18 was a disgusting year for me. I was in and out of employment. I was a community coach. Coaching wasn't going well. We didn't get all round bad year.
I know what I mean. And with that one, mate, you touched upon briefly about you didn't buy into what Alan Kilshaw was doing at the club. Who was obviously the manager at Hornets at the time. For those that don't know, this sort of touches upon the most important thing, mate. And it's about having the right people around you. Because if you've got the right people around you, you're going to be more motivated and more committed to do something. And although you had a stressful year where you had to come out of the game and that. This is where I suppose you strengthened your relationship with your family, isn't it? And you began to find out what you were really about. I mean, what would you say to that? Would you say I'd
echo that in terms of that was a testing year, like you said. The year out, that's probably a year is an uncommon. We're out. I had no constraints. It was weird. I didn't have to go training Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I didn't have Sunday to think about. I had, I was family. Me. This is me now, and it was good. Perfect year and all that stuff. It wasn't the perfect year, but it was good. It was a different dynamic, a different mindset, and a different feel. Which that's what I'm going to buy into when I eventually never play again. But then I started training and playing with Swinton again, and lockdowns ruined all the family vibes and all that stuff now. I'm in the garden now, sleep over there, go toilet over there. You know,
No,
this is my living.
this is because you become the rugby league player, the demolition man, to the green fingered gardener, and then
I'm transitioning into the garden, but no, you're right. In what you're saying, it's very much buying into things and developing a mindset, and you can easily get waylaid by doing what everyone else does or being what everyone else sees. And everywhere else, everybody knows what they don't want to do, but nobody knows what they want to do. And when that's the problem for people, you just keep going round and round.
Would you say a lot of that's down to external pressures in terms of people?
God, without doubt. Like I said, I ain't got a lot of charge on my iPad to get into it, but you have to, the comparison. I think comparison is the thief of joy. I think the quote is, and it's insane how much you can see online. Like, I'm looking at you now sat in your chair, and then when I look at people online and they portray this image and this lifestyle, and you buy into that. I want to keep up with the Joneses is the essential comment I'm trying to get to, but you can't validate anything online. And as soon as you start buying into that and you start living like that, you try and reflect your lifestyle online, you've already lost. And it's not even about winning, it's just a journey, and it's a journey you're never gonna find happiness online. You're never gonna get to showing things, external pressures. It never ends. Never ever ends. You're never gonna win. And these millennials and these baby X's.
I love that. I'm gonna steal that quote, "The thief of joy," for the title of this TV program, because I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think it's absolutely...
Take it, man. Nothing's owned, Chris. Nothing's owned. Everything's borrowed, mate. Everything's borrowed.
Mate, it's absolutely brilliant. I love that, and you signify it perfectly, because there's always a pressure as an athlete. I mean, do you find any difference in terms of being a professional athlete to a general human being working in demolition to what you played in the game? Do you see any? What sort of comparisons are there in terms of the pressure? Because obviously you've got the
biggest one. Obviously, you've got your discipline, which any professional, even if you're a dentist, you've got to have discipline. But the biggest thing is accountability. It's a performance-based industry. We don't care if you're a nice person. We don't care if you on time. We don't care if you can lift 100 kg. Nobody cares. It's a performance-based industry. You're accountable. Rather perform, and eventually you'll go. And in rugby league, that is more. That's more fierce than any other sport, in my opinion. In football, you can drop down leagues and have quite an illustrious career. You look at ex-United, ex-Liverpool, ex-Newcastle, and you get players that are doing very well, playing for your Prestons and your Sunderlands. But in rugby league, it's a cliff edge. It's a meat conveyor belt, and I say that in terms not in a negative way, but you're on the belt. You're not. You just roll off at the end. Performance-based industry. You perform or you don't. So
how much do you want it?
You got that 7 to 8 year period where you got your peak, and then others go on to coach and all that. So my point is, it's very intense. I've spoke to many NRL players, and they'll tell you it's more intense there, and it's ridiculous. And they said they come here for a payday and a retirement. It's not that. It's just a pressure in the NRL, the state of origin. It's insurmountable. So that being said, you can't emulate that in terms of people who aren't, a nurse or a plumber or a bricklayer or an accountant. These are all well thought of jobs and perfect and great careers, but you'll never find pressure in a professional environment other than rugby league.
Yeah, I totally get that. So in terms of the talk about pressures and disciplines, etc. Obviously, you went on to probably one of the biggest honours that you can get is in representing your country, Fiji. How did that come about for you? And obviously having a good rugby league background with your family. That how do you get to become an international athlete? Because I suppose that's what a lot of young athletes watching this might want to understand.
It's a bit of a double-edged question, really, because you want to represent your country when you grow up. I've got a dual heritage, pretty blessed to have, happy with it. But to become a fully fledged international, You know, I was lucky enough to be involved with Steve Walsh, one of the best conditioners in the world. He coached conditioned Leeds, Toulon, Halifax, Harlequins Rugby Union. Fantastic. Pavlov's, he got involved, and you know, the power exercise, he introduced that to Leeds, and you know, brilliant. And he said, as an international, you can't have any days off. You can't, you know, play on a Friday, do whatever you want a weekend, see you on Monday. As an international, you have no days off. You know, you're in and you're in. So
Yeah,
that's that's it really. You're in, like I said, 7 to 10 year period when you become an athlete and you become a professional. If you want to be an international, you have no days off, and that's hard for some of your lads to swallow. And hard. It was hard for me. I'm pretty sure it's hard now for anyone to, you know, you've got your mum for your dad. You get challenged along the way. Those who reach the highest probably have less days off than others. So yeah.
And I suppose because you're in the spotlight as well now, as was highlighted with the Tompkins brothers a couple of years ago. I think they went to a pub in Wigan. I think someone said something that they didn't particularly agree with, and then I don't know what they said, obviously, but there was an exchange of words, and obviously because of who they were, it went national, didn't it? So you know, like I say, you've got to be careful, you've got to be disciplined, you've got to live it 24/7 all the time. So obviously went for Hornets, had the injury setback, the demolition work, which you know you've got on really well with that. How did the move to Swinton come about? I mean, would you say, because something I think that's becoming apparent is the network seems to be quite important in terms of people that you know can sort of help towards getting you another route. So obviously with Swinton, for example, he played with Gav Benyon at Hornets, and he's at Swinton. I think there's a few other Hornets, ex-Hornets players at Swinton. Did that play a part in you going there, or was it a case of they knew you got a good reputation in the game? Would you say that's what got you the move to Swinton after a year out, or?
You know what? I remember finishing work one day, and you know, I felt good in myself, and thought I was totally unfit, grossly overweight, and I thought, you know what? I went back to the point of fear. I thought, well, I'm going to have another crack at this. So I thought, I'm not going to go back to Hornets. I just watched Alan Kilshaw ruin that team, single-handedly ruin the club, talk them to depths of destitute. So I thought, I'm not going to go there. Have a change of a breath of fresh air. You know, he'd done his thing there. So I would give Stu Little a ring. He was at Hornets just as I was injured again. Yeah, I give him a ring, and he said, "Yeah, you're fine. Come down, sign, sort it out. Play as you pay as you play basis, and we'll come to some fruition when you're fine." So yeah, I sorted out basic there, and went from there. Trained like a Trojan horse. I loved it. Back in the mix, you know. Again, Tuesday, Thursdays. AJ Bell. Location was a big factor, of course. Yeah. My uncle played there, Emin. He come along with me. You know, he played there. He loved it there under Brian Kidd. Paul Kidd. You know, it was nice. Met him at the Graham, signed. Good old rugby league in the back of a pub. You know, got the old ink on there. Decent.
A real man's way, mate.
Decent, yeah. Decent, yeah. It was a great vibe. I loved it. Felt it, but you know, the lightning came and it struck me hard. January 2019. Shoulder dislocation, completely out of the blue. Yeah, that was a very tough pill to swallow. I would have thoroughly loved that Swinton year. I managed to get myself to some fitness and come back against Dewsbury in the cup. Can't remember the name. They always change the name, the cups. But yeah.
Cup, was it?
No. That never changes its name. But the some cup, it's a new cup designed for the lower half of the championship to play in.
Oh, is it like this, like the playoffs? Is it? Is that like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever that is.
I've lost count.
So yeah, played in that and came through it lovely, and I felt the game again. You know, I was back in, and then in training, innocuously slipped out, and yeah, it was a very tough pill to swallow, and I'm still a bit reeling from that. I'm still going to get an operation. I just want to. More for my mental health. I want to be fit and strong and healthy. I want to be able to press above my head, lift my son up. I want to be able to climb, jump, rock, you know, little kid vibes. But still, That's the way Swinton went down, which was very short-lived, and it was out of my control. You can control the controllables, and I couldn't control that, so it was hard to swallow that. But here I am,
Still
in my garden, waiting for an update.
Thing is, mate, you're not doing what a lot, because a lot of we hear about a lot of athletes when they've been injured or whether they've been released, and I've spoken to people in the past about being released from the club, about not getting any form of support from either them.
I'm gonna move into the house because I'm on 1%, but there's a charger on the side.
Yeah, no worries.
So, sorry, carry on what you're saying.
That's all right. But no, it's all good. It still is okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, cool.
I don't live in a mansion. I'm just walking really slow.
That's all good, mate. But the good thing is, mate, you're not doing what a lot of people unfortunately do, which is, some people find it hard because they bury their head because obviously all they've known is the sport they've played for 8, 10, 12, 13 years, whatever it may be. But the difference between obviously what some people are doing and what you're doing is different, because you've got the vision that you want to get back into playing, and what you're not doing is you're not feeling sorry for yourself. You're finding other things that you can do, whether that's spend more time with your family, go out and get a job to support yourself and your family, and get yourself doing, which is great and really commendable. And I think this is a big a really important thing as well. Is, what sort of support are you receiving from
Rugby League's good, man.
Rugby
League's good. It's well, there's a lot of dynamics to that question and that insight. It's Rugby League's a very small family. You say one thing, everybody knows it. You act like one thing, everybody knows it, good or bad. Rugby League's a very close-knit community. Probably one of the reasons why it's still around. It thrives off that.
It's a bit, vouch for that.
Yeah, so, you use that to your advantage or not. You know what I mean? If you're an idiot, you get found out. If you're, there's a hard trainer or a great bloke, a mad fighter on the piss, you'll get found out. Rugby League's a small community like that. So, you and they have a very big links with Sporting Chance and things like that. But, yeah, support's there.
It's good.
But back to athletes and people coming out of the game and impromptu retirements, injury, people who just don't get picked and just cast away. And it comes down to identity, and that's what it is, I think. Losing your identity. Michael, the rugby player, Chris, the conditioner. Once that gets taken away, it's like,
what do I go?
I don't know what I'm. I don't know why I am anymore. I have no identity kind of thing, and people, you're still a man, you're still a dad and a father, but it's hard to, if you're a postman, you want to be a window cleaner, or you want to be an accountant or a solicitor or a lawyer, you can do that, you can venture, but when you've always been something in such a limelight and a pressured environment where you're being held accountable, commendable, and you're doing what you love, and then that gets taken away, you can imagine how hard that is for somebody to come to terms with when they've got nothing else to turn to. You know what I mean? I'm going to be a plasterer after this, but people don't have that, do they? People have that insight. There's a void to be filled, and that's in football, rugby, boxing, cricket, tennis, sport. That's just sport.
100%. It is generally life. Because obviously I had 8 years in the army. Left the army, went into football, and then left the club I was at because for whatever reason. And then once you're out of the sport, it is, whether you're a coach, a player, whatever, it is bloody hard to get back into it. And knowing that it's great knowing, so if you know the right people, they can get you back in, but you've really got to bust the gut and have a backup plan, haven't you? And you've got to really you've got to identify who you are, because ultimately you are always going to be labelled. I mean, you look at Kevin Sinfield now, he's going to be labelled with Leeds Rhinos for the whole of his life, probably, because he's gone from playing to now being a director of football there, isn't he? And he's always going to get that.
He's in the top elite, isn't he? He's in the 1%.
Yeah.
You get the pundits, the directors, the coaches, a lot of players go back into the game. So like any sport, it's all and that's what you want to do, and that's fine. Some people play sport to make money, some people play sport because they love the game.
Yeah. And
you know, the identity. But it's the fact that when it gets taken from you, that's where a lot of players struggle.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle. You know, it gets taken from you, and you don't have the opportunity to go back into the game. You don't have anything to give back in terms of value. You've got a family. It's a big. You don't plan. Nobody planned for the lockdown. Nobody planned for eventualities of whatever. It's difficult. Nobody sees for tomorrow when you're earning this amount of money in the game and you're playing in front of however many people as to next week when you've got no money and you can't run. So it's difficult to plan for things. Humans are really bad at planning for threats. So I've been serving in the army, you know, humans don't really plan for a threat of plan B, plan C. You know, it's always immediate threat. We'll deal with it. If it's hot, don't touch it. If it's coming at us unaware. So plan B and plan C don't really come into effect until, you know, it comes to it. Really, really bad at doing that. So
it's that subconscious mind, isn't it? It's definitely the subconscious mind, and it's. So I mean, what we'll do, mate, is we'll start to sort of wrap up a little bit. So I mean, what's your sort of plans? Obviously, you touched there upon doing some plastering post COVID.
No.
Oh, you're not doing that. Oh,
no.
You're pulling me leg.
It's a different rhetoric. Not that rhetoric.
You know, mate. In fact, no. I'll tell you what you're going to be doing. You're going to be Alan Titchmarsh's next assistant on Love Your Garden, aren't you? From what we've been speaking about, mate, the last 2 weeks. You know, we've had a lovely insight.
I've been in garden every day. Every day I've been in there. That's all I've been doing.
Yeah, well, the trees and the bushes are looking very trim, mate. They're looking really good. So at least you keep.
They're looking a lot trimmer than me. At the minute.
Yeah, but when you're playing centre, mate, in rugby league, you've got to have a bit of frame on you so that people aren't going to batter you, aren't they?
Well, that's how it's always been.
Mate, you are who you are.
Yeah.
You're a legend for
Plans after rugby will be post-COVID, like I said. I'll be going back on the foreign exchange, starting a few businesses with my friend.
Yeah.
I've got a few things in the pipeline. Not all bad. You know, I'm looking at having my op. You know, I want to have a final year with Hornets. A few of my mates down there. Matt Callan's there. You know, let's get the op done. Get post-COVID. You know, keep safe really, and just, you know, keep fighting this non-existent virus. But we ain't got time for my views on that.
Nah, well, this is it, mate. Well, it's been absolutely amazing having you on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure, an absolute honour to have someone of your status on here. So, mate, many thanks for your time.
Always, mate. Always. I'm sorry it's come to be a bit late. You know, like I said, routine and timing's been awful. But today I had the free day, so yeah, I'm glad to share my time with you, man.
Nah, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. But if you hang on for 2 seconds, mate, we'll have a chat off air. But
yeah, sure.
So for the guys that want to find out more about you, what's the best way to connect with you?
Oh, well, this is a big one.
Might end up with a massive following, mate, after this. Even bigger than what you got now.
No. I'm quite a private man, me, Chris, but obviously you can find me on Instagram. I've got my email address. You can pop it up at the end of the show if you want. Michael J. Ratu at iCloud.com. You know, if it's, you know, I will definitely get back to you if it's sincerity. You know, yeah, I'm on Instagram, and that's about it, really, Chris. If anybody's got anything, they can email you to come to me. You can be my PA for a bit if you want.
Mate,
you can do that.
Mate, I'm happy with that. Mate. Superb.
Yeah, sure. Ping, I'll help anyone for anything, man. So if anybody wants to get in touch, they'll find me, yeah?
Top man. Right, cheers for that, buddy. And I look forward to having a proper catch-up soon, my man. Cheers, dude.
Soon, man. Peace out.
Right. I think... Oh, no.